Yo, what up, and welcome to Audiophilia. I am Josie, and I'm coming to you with the last what I read in this year. We have books from October, November, and December. I still need to read 2 books to complete my reading goal for 2024, but let's see how that goes. Anyway, the lighting is atrocious because it's December and it's literally Silent Hill outside, but let's get started. And the first book I want to talk about is The Shape of the Enemy. And it's all about how Estonia and Baltic states were pictured in different political cartoons from 1920s to 1940s. And, well, there are not that many cartoons of the Baltic states because we're not that important. But there were some, and to make up for that, they gave an overview of political cartoons in the Soviet Union before that, and it was fascinating. It was so interesting. There's a lot of picture material inside. Basically, every cartoon they talk about is inside here, and I appreciate that so much. I feel like I gained so much knowledge. It's just a really, really great book, and I can't believe it was for sale for only €5. I'm like, one of the best reads this year. Next, let's talk about something that's not history, and that's the Invocations. And this is by Crystal Sutherland, and basically it's about 3 young women, and everybody has like an agenda. So everybody has a selfish desire they want to achieve during this story. And I don't even know how to explain the story. Basically, if you're a witch and you want to sell your soul for a special skill, you get an invocation on your wrist or somewhere on your body, and then somebody starts to kill the witches and cut out the invocations, and it turns out it's a man. It wasn't like super feminism heavy, I would say. So if you're feeling a bit like ick about it, although why, then it's still good book for you. But I really like that all of them were flawed. All 3 of them were flawed. So it wasn't like somebody's going on a crusade. No. And there was a sapphic romance inside, but I wouldn't say it was forced, but I feel like the story would have worked without it. And also I didn't understand, why they felt so drawn to each other. I felt like the main plot and the main agendas were so strong that it didn't need it. Also, this was pretty gruesome. I mean, for me, and I'm a little scaredy cat. I don't do well with gore and stuff like that. So this does have some of it, but I felt like I could look past it because of the story. Really enjoyed that. So if you ever see it, pick it up. I was reading it during Halloween, so it was especially fun. Now, this break. This is No Surrender, and it's a graphic novel by Scarlett and Sophie Rickard, and it follows a story about Constance Maud's book that was published in 1910. It tells a story of suffragettes. We have some main characters, what they do, etc. And obviously it's all just pictures. And again, I felt like I got educated. This was very gripping story. You could really feel how much these women needed the right to vote, how much they needed more rights in general, to be able to divorce, to be able to be a guardian of their own children. The injustice in this was, for some reason, really, really clear. I've read a lot of books about the suffragette movement, but I feel like this really was emotionally somehow more closer to me than a lot of the other ones. I wouldn't, was it the pictures? I'm not sure, but it's quite a read, and I did enjoy it. I read on Goodreads that some people found that it focused too much on the upper class, or there were not enough people of color in here. All great points, but besides that, I feel that it's a great book, especially if you like to get your history in graphic novel form. I definitely recommend it, and yeah, that's a great find. I found that in Lithuania on a sale, so yay for that. Now let's do another graphic novel, if you can say so. It's Asterix with the Belgians, and yeah, it's not a thick book, but it's been forever since Asterix was being published in Estonia, and when they started it back out, I was like, I was like, oh yeah, let me get here, let me get my hands on it. Words. This was fun. I remember that I felt that I was learning about history when I was reading Asterix books, but here I could really see that, oh yeah, you are learning, and they had so many like small jokes about French fries or Belgian fries here, and the drawing style is just so detailed. You can look at the picture again and again and again, and it's just quick, fast, slightly educational entertainment. I look forward to getting the next edition. They are doing it out of sync, but yeah, let me see what's next. Okay, we have 3 more books to go. I feel all the books this time are some kind of small finds from different bookstores. This wasn't from a small bookstore. It was from one of the main bookstores in Estonia, but I felt like, what is this? This is Terry Pratchett's A Stroke in the Pen, Lost Stories. And there's a foreword by Neil Gaiman, who was his friend. These stories are lost stories, so it means that he published it under another name when he was starting out. Once upon a time, when we still had paper newspapers, you could have these entertainment pages at the end of the newspaper, and sometimes they had just short stories, or then like a serial story, so it was something you could follow along for a longer time. And they discovered a story that was definitely written by Pratchett, and then they were like, oh, maybe we can look up other stories by this author, and then they found a bunch of stories. I have to say, it's a weird mix. You can definitely see from some of them that, oh, this is where the Discworld inspiration comes from, and then some of them are like, meh. There were a lot of Christmas stories here, now that I think about it, but I wasn't that big of a fan of those, but there was this crazy, surreal, fun comedy aspect to a lot of them. I think that if you're a fan of Sir Terry Pratchett, definitely check this out. It goes fast because the stories are short, because they had to fit at the back of the newspaper. But it's fun, yes. I'm really happy I have this in my collection. And the next one, for a long-time viewer, you already know that my favorite crime author, and the only one that I read, is Donna Leon, and this is Through a Glass. And the setting, as always, is Venice, but this time it's on Murano Island, and somebody gets killed in the glass factory, and then Brunetti has to research it. I have to say, I was like 120 pages in and nobody had died. And I was like, where is this going? Where is this going? And then, okay, then somebody died. But I feel like often Leon wants to describe you more of Venice, of its culture, of its food, definitely, and the crime or the murder is just something in addition to her love letter to Venice, in my opinion. And here you could see there was also this idea of environmentalism, which felt for me like okay, like I understand that she wanted to include it and explore it from the Italian point of view, like how people of Venice, of Murano, would see it, but it still felt a bit forced. So this was not my favorite Donna Leon book, but I have to say at the end, like the final 15 pages, those picked up so fast. It got suddenly like it got suddenly so good, and I was like, ah. So it really ended on a high note. I enjoyed it. And again, there's already a next one published. I'm reading these in Estonian usually, by the way, because my mom is a big crime novel fan. And she buys a lot of them. And when she buys Leon, she gives it to me. So yay! But yeah, and finally, the final book of the year. Well, hopefully not the last one. I still need to read two. But the final book of this video. And it's the Breakup Lists. And it's by Adib Khorram. And I struggled with this book. There's nothing wrong with this book. This book is great. But I hate this picture. I hate it so much. Because in my mind, I couldn't see people, I could just see cartoon characters. And I don't want to read, well, I do sometimes want to read about cartoon characters, but not here. And I was so frustrated, so I tried to keep it like down like this and pick it up like this so I wouldn't see the front of it. This is a me problem, I know. Anyway, this book follows Jackson, who is a stage manager in a school show. And I would say that first off, like the best thing, maybe the best thing about it was that I have never been involved in a theater production. I have never been involved in an American high school theater production. And what the hell? Like, there's so many things that go into it. That was so interesting to read. You could see that the author really knew ins and outs of it, and that was fascinating. So interesting. So I always feel like if a book has like an added bonus of something that makes me learn about something new that I never have maybe had even an interest in, it already goes up on my list. And the second thing was that the main character was deaf, and the experience of having a hearing aid, still not hearing, there were places in the book where the sentence goes and then it's something. So that's something that he didn't hear. And often he doesn't even say to people that, oh, can you repeat it? Or when he says, can you repeat it? They're like, oh, never mind. It wasn't that important. You could really, no, well, not experience, but have your eyes open to what the experience of being deaf really is. And then this guy... Liam starts to talk more to Jackson, and Jackson's like, oh yeah, he's being friendly, and he starts to learn sign language, and Jackson is still like, oh well, that's very sweet of him. Dude! Like, please pay attention. That's basically the only person in your life that's that knows sign language besides his friend. So the relationship is very sweet. It's very, There are still some communication problems, but I feel that the conflict resolutions are pretty good, except for Jackson's sister, who I think brings some much needed like real conflict into the story, because other than that it would be very, very sweet and syrupy. But yes, what was I saying? Oh, I got to the middle. I felt like I knew where it was going. I knew what the conflict was going to be, and I didn't want to read it because I felt like I just don't have the mental capacity for the conflict. But it wasn't as bad as I was thinking it's going to be, and I still ended it with a very high note. The ending was very theatrical, but it was still a lot of fun. Anyway, what I want to say is really cool book. Well written. It's still a very sweet story. You learn about stage production if you haven't before. You get more knowledgeable about how being deaf is, and maybe what to take into consideration when you talk to a person who is wearing a hearing aid, and maybe just to be more considerate. Yeah. Very fun. These are the books I read during October, November, and December. It's not a lot. I feel like I could have done better, but I try to be kind towards myself. There is always next year, and there was a good variety, I feel. So that's all for this year. Thank you so much if you've been a returning viewer. Thank you to all of my friends who still keep me motivated doing these book videos. I really love doing them. I really love sharing what I have read. And happy holidays to everyone. Leave a like, subscribe, all of that, and have a good end of the year.